Thanks for joining me. I'm Aaron Epps, Senior Solutions Architect with RPI Consultants. And today we're going to spend some time working together hands-on to see how you can leverage HCM analytics in Infor Burst to develop content for your HR organization. So we're going to look at HCM analytics, the delivered content that's organized into different subject areas and by role. We're going to show you how to get in and explore the report catalog and why that's important. And then we'll have some hands-on time. I'm going to show you how you can leverage some of those pre-built reports to mix and match them in different ways to create a dashboard with a handful of KPIs and then a drill to detail table at the bottom, okay, in just a few minutes. And then we're also going to talk about monthly snapshots, the data structure within HCM analytics, why that's important, and then also the year-month filter and how you need to use that to make sure you're presenting accurate information in your reports and dashboards that you build out. Okay, so here we are, we're on one of our internal test tenants, and we have the latest version of HCM Analytics, and you can see if you've been on this homepage, you know you have several different subject areas that have content organized for you by role. So you can go in here and you've got lots of dashboards that are comprised of different reports, right? So each thing that's on here is a different report. And so we certainly, when we're working with customers, there's really a three-step process that we recommend you go through when you're doing a gap analysis between maybe what your HR reporting looks like today and how you'd like it to be in the future. So first thing is spend some time getting familiarized with the delivered content, right? So there's several different collections. Inside of each collection, there's a number of dashboards. So take the time to go through and look at that content and familiarize yourself with what's there and what's available. See if you can use that as is. Okay, so that's kind of the first step in the process. If you can't use it as is, you can often take it and tailor it. So you can make a copy of that content. Then you can add and remove columns, you can change the visualization, like whatever customizations you need to make. The third step then is if you can't use something as is that's delivered, if you can't tailor it to meet your needs, would be to develop something from scratch, okay? So there are a lot of different areas within here, so you certainly want to go through and look at all these different dashboards that are delivered, but this isn't everything that's delivered. So in addition to the content that's available here, there's the report catalog that contains a lot of different reports that you want to go and explore as well to see if there's something there that would meet your needs, okay? So to do that, I'm going to go into Visualizer. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Open. Okay, and so this is your report catalog. So all of the content isn't displayed in those dashboards or those subject areas that are delivered. There are some reports that are here that you may not see or may not be obvious where they are when you go through that. So certainly take some time to explore what's delivered. So if you go into Infor HCM, you've got a nice hierarchy of content that's organized. So you can go in, for example, if you're looking for something around diversity inclusion, and then let's say you're looking for a report by gender, you've got very descriptive names of those reports and what they are and how they could use them. So if you're looking for employee by gender or by gender and job level, right, you can easily go and reuse this content by embedding it within a dashboard. Okay, and we're going to get to that briefly after I talk about one of the data structures that are important. Okay, so I'll show you how you can go in here and use some of this to develop a dashboard quickly. But before I pivot to the dashboard authoring, I do want to show something that's really important. So if you're just getting started leveraging Burst and HCM Analytics, there's important data structure you need to know, and it's called snapshots. And so basically what that does is it takes a snapshot of information at the last day of each month. So you really have two time series that you can pivot between. You've got what does it look like right now in the system, and then you have what was it for all the previous months, going back however far you've loaded data. So for example, if I were to go back to February, it would show me the values as of February 28th, 2021. If I went back to January, it would show me the values as of January 31st. Okay, so you're just going to have those monthly snapshots, and then you're going to have what does it look like right now. So if you're 5 days into the month, you're 10 days into the month, it's going to show you that. And so to demonstrate that, I just want to go and build out something really quick. So I'm going to go into employee, And I'm just going to put on employee ID, employee name, and we'll put on their hourly rate, for example. Okay. So just went and click those values, right? So we can see hourly rate. So the first thing, one of the most common mistakes is when people look at this, they look at the hourly rates and they say, that's a huge number, right? What's wrong with the data? There's nothing wrong with the data. It's that we haven't refined it down to the specific data set that we want to look at, okay? So I'm going to go here and just set the formatting on this currency. And then I'm going to add an attribute that demonstrates what I'm talking about. So within the time series, there's an attribute called year month. So I'm going to add that to this table. And now what you'll see, if we go and we filter by a particular employee, let's just pick one here. Okay. So you can see if you look at that first column where it says year month, you see year/month, okay? You have the name, you have the employee ID, and the hourly rate. So those are all the records, right, that are snapped at the end of each month going forward. So there's a lot of different values that are in here. So when you're first building a report or a dashboard, you need to make sure that you go in and you add that year month filter. 9 times out of 10, when you go in and you're looking at a report, you want to say, what does it look like right now? And then you possibly want to pivot into the past and say, what was it last month? What was it the month before that, right? So to do that, you need to put that year month filter on there. So for example, if we take this and we drag it down to filters, okay, I'm going to set it to equal to, and we'll put it to month in 2021, just like March, hit apply. And that's going to filter out all of those old monthly snapshots that I don't need to calculate. So if I want to see what their hourly rate is now, I need to filter to the current year month to exclude all that other data. So you would have seen before, his hourly rate would have been a sum of not only what is it currently, but the snapshot from all the past months. Okay, so that's a key concept to understand. I'll show you how we do that within a dashboard as well. Okay. So now we want to go and author some content. So we're going to switch over and we're going to go to dashboards. Okay. We're going to go up here and look at our collections and dashboards. We're going to put it in tenant custom dashboards. Very important that you put your stuff in tenant custom dashboards or tenant custom reports and dashboards in a catalog. That's a safe space because you are a multi-tenant customer. There are going to be updates that are going to be pushed out. So you want to make sure you put your content in those folders so it's not accidentally overwritten. Okay. So now I'm going to go in and create a new dashboard here. Wait for that to load. Okay. Okay, and then we're gonna add content to it, right? So these are the different types of content you can embed within a dashboard. So first thing we're going to do is we're not going to build reports from scratch, right? Because we're going to leverage something that was delivered as part of HCM Analytics because it probably meets a lot of our reporting requirements. So I'm going to go into Infor HCM. Let's go into diversity inclusion, and let's go into, let's say, ethnicity. Let's do ethnicity by job, okay? In addition to that, I can also do employees by ethnicity. So let's go ahead and put a few of those in. Okay, so I've got 2 reports. Let's add a couple other ones. So let's go again into existing reports. I'm going to go into the delivered content. Diversity inclusion, let's do gender. And so we'll do employees by gender and job level. Okay. Okay. So now I've got these 4 different reports, right? So this is content that's delivered. I want to put it together in a way that's meaningful for this particular use case. So I'm going to go here. I'm just going to arrange the layout. Okay. And then let's go ahead and just resize this. We can sneak some KPIs in along the top. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this dashboard. Okay, so very easy way, right? So a dashboard is nothing more than a container, right? It's a canvas that you can put different objects into. You can put in different reports. You can put in KPIs. You can embed images, right? There's all kinds of things. It's really just a canvas. And so now I've gone and I've found the 4 reports that are useful for what I want to do. But in addition to this, best practices, when you're building these dashboards out, there's really 3 key components you want to make sure you have. So I always tell people when we're working with customers and you're doing dashboard design, pick 3 to 5 KPIs or numbers that are meaningful. Then thinking about those numbers, pick 2 to 4 ways you would want to slice and dice that data by, right? And then the last thing is to include the details, right? So you can actually see the specific transactions in addition to the visualizations. When you do that, it's very easy to build out something that you can then, you can tailor, you can personalize using bookmarks, and you can also go from the high-level visualizations down to the specific details, okay? So I'm going to go back into edit mode on this dashboard. So we've got 4 reports that we wanted to reuse. I'm going to go ahead and put in another existing report. So I'm going to go to here. I also want an employee details, right? I need to see the specific attributes that I'm looking for. I don't want to build that table from scratch, right? So I'm going to go into employee counts. And then we see here, we've got this table called employee details. Okay. So I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to put that down. I like to normally put it off the screen so you don't see it by default, but then you can easily just scroll vertically to see that content, okay? So we've got that there. And then let's put in a couple KPIs. Okay, so let's go in and let's do employee count. Okay. And again, I've got large numbers on here because I'm not filtering by year month currently. Okay, so don't worry about the data until we get into the dashboard and we add that filter in. Okay, so the other nice thing is a lot of these calculations are already part of the model. So we can go in here and we can get average FTE. We've got employee count. Just align these quickly. Set another one. So let's go ahead and put in the service. Again, just test data, right? So we've got all kinds of funny values in here. Put in a couple more. One of the things you may have noticed when I was searching for turnover rate is there's some abbreviations here. So in addition to having that percentage calculated for you automatically as part of the HCM data model, you also have TTM and YAGO. And so those are common abbreviations you're going to mean. And what they mean are TTM stands for trailing 12 months. YAGO stands for year ago. And then there's also another one called MAGO, which is month ago. So often useful when you're comparing metrics and looking for trends over time. All right, so let's go ahead and put in turnover rate. Get this guy fixed. I'll put in one more. Let's see. Okay, we'll go ahead and put in turnover count as well. Okay, so now we've put in some numbers or some metrics across the top. We have 4 different reports. In addition to showing the reports in different ways, you can also use visual filtering to get to something more specific. So I always advocate when you're building out a dashboard, don't put in a lot of filters and make it like really like a very minute view of the data because lots of users can do that by using the visual filtering and then bookmarking those pages, okay? I'm going to go down here and quickly modify employee details. So we just pull back 100 records. Actually, let's just do 10 records. Okay. All right, so I've gone and I've put in the components that I want in my dashboard. I've added KPIs. I've added a few different reports to view the data from different perspectives. And then I've also added a detailed table down at the bottom so I can actually see the specifics of what I'm looking at. Okay, so now let's go in. So we talked about the year-month filter. So without that, you can see the employee count is a high number, right? Because it's summing or it's totaling the values month after month based on those snapshots. So to get rid of that, we need to add in the year-month filter. Okay, so I'm going to go into Edit, and then we'll go to Manage. Okay, and we're going to go find that. Many of the filters are already built in and delivered as part of the model. So I'm going to add in year month and I'm going to publish. And when I do that, right, you can see that the numbers get adjusted, right, based on the test data that we have here. Okay, so I've put in that. So this shows me the values based on what I've got in our test system for the current month and year. And then we've got the different reports. So once you've got that built, one of the things I like to demonstrate is that now you can actually go and you can tailor this and make it your own. So for example, if you were looking at ethnicity for your organization, right? I'm going to visually filter and select this. So I'm going to pick a couple different ethnicities here just by clicking and dragging with my cursor to select those. And what happens, because then the model understands how all the data relates together, everything is updated automatically. So now not only do I see what this information looks like for my entire organization, but I filtered it down to these specific ethnic groups, and everything updates automatically. So now I see employee gender by job level for that filter. I see employees by gender, and then I also see ethnicity by job. Okay, all of my KPIs have updated along the top. And then if I scroll down to the bottom, here I can see the details of the information that I'm looking at. So in addition to being able to filter on the visualizations, right? So let's say I've gone through, I filtered by these two particular ethnicities. Let's say I want to go and look at it by this particular gender. I'll go ahead and put that on there to look for females in the organization. You can continue to whittle this down and refine. So let's say now I need to look at maintenance, for example, right? So I just clicked and selected on a cell in the table. So everything that you see is filterable on the dashboard. And so now I've gone from something that presents me information that may or may not be useful because there's too much there, and filtered down to something very specific by visually filtering on ethnicity, on gender, and by HR org unit, okay? If this is something I like, either it's something I need to look at on a regular basis or it's something that I need to distribute, I can go ahead and do a couple things. I can go ahead and create a bookmark. So I'm gonna create a bookmark here and say, we'll just call it my analysis. Hit OK. And what that does is now that saves this dashboard with these particular filters applied. One of the things that isn't intuitive is that bookmarks are not specific per user. They're specific per dashboard. So anybody that comes into this dashboard is going to have these same bookmarks. So for example, you could build a turnover dashboard for your organization. And then let's say you want to do turnover by department, to turnover by job type, right? You can just create those bookmarks and then save those in here so that anybody can easily access that information. If this is something you need to distribute as well, you also have functionality where you can create notifications. So let's say this is something that needs to be distributed, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put in just some test values here. Okay, so you have the title and subject of your email, specify the schedule. So let's say maybe I need to send this report out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to send that at, let's do 8 a.m. Central, and I want to include the details, right? So you can go and you can save that notification, or maybe you need to send it once a month on the 5th day of the month, as an example. You can go ahead and save. And what that does then is when you create that notification, so if you spend time or you have responsibility to distribute information, the system can do it for you, right? So there's lots of other functionality in Burst. This was really meant to be kind of an introduction to some best practices of not only familiarizing yourself with the content that's delivered as part of HCM analytics, but also a really easy framework for building dashboards, right? And also leveraging content that you have available to you. So use the reports. You can inspect them and see how they're put together. You can tailor them, add and remove fields, change the sort order, and use and mix and match those to develop a dashboard very quickly, right? In just a few minutes, you can build out something that's pretty useful. And with that, let's open it up to questions. All right, and we'll go with our first question. So we have a question about being able to potentially customize some of the KPIs that are delivered in the measure or as the part of the delivered data model. Yeah, you can absolutely go in and customize that. So for example, common customization is going in and tailoring turnover rate to your organization's definition of how you come up with that number. So there's, of course, a delivered calculation that's documented. You can go in and basically find that, that expression within the data model and then adjust the numerators and denominators accordingly to come up with your organization's definition of turnover rate. If you are looking for information on that, please reach out to us. You can shoot us an email at questions@rpic.com. There's a great webinar series that was put together by the Infor HCM development team, where they basically, series of webinars where they spend about 45 minutes kind of doing some introductory HCM development topics. And they also have accompanying PowerPoint presentation. So we found that extremely useful. So if you're interested, please reach out to us. We'll make sure to connect and get that information to you. All right, and the second question here we have is about being able to bring into user fields into the data model. So as you know, when you're implementing GHR, you have many delivered data structures and attributes, but of course there's almost always a need to add additional definitions or user fields within the system. So absolutely, there's actually in those webinar series, there's one on extensibility. So Infor has provided a documented process for extending those data models, basically adding those to replication sets and then being able to report on it. So just like we saw these different measures and attributes in the data model today, you can extend that with your user fields to be able to report on that as needed. All right, I think that's it for questions today. So this is the first in a series that we'll be doing on enabling customers on HCM analytics and dashboard development. So look for the next session from us in a few weeks. Thanks for your time today.